Oh, God. Kanye West. Look, I'm not here to introduce you to the man Kanye West when you already know him. I'm not here to rank his albums, I've already done that. I'm just here to talk about Jesus is King. Jesus is King. Of course, once again, a frustrating journey to get to a Kanye West album. It would not be a Kanye West album without a tedious and long process to just get the music. We were supposed to get Yandi, but Jesus Christ did the laundry, and we will not be getting Yandi, so we are at the point of Jesus is King, which also got a bit of a weird delay to fix mixing issues. There were rumours that was meant to really come out a few weeks before. We didn't get it then either. The sweet irony being that the biggest issue people are having with this album thus far is in fact the mixing, when it did get a bit of a delay because of the mixing that needed to be fixed apparently. And so what do we get with the album itself? The album is here, 27 minutes, 11 tracks, somehow packed into 27 minutes, which comes with its own issues itself. I think the response to this album has been a bit over the top so far, I must admit. Of course, people have their issues and they will explain what their issues are. That's all fine, it's all good. I'm not going to get mad at you for that. For me, though, I don't hate this, to be honest. However, do I like this album, though? Well, no, I don't like the album. I have many issues with the album, which I will go into right now, because I think this album has so many issues. First of all, Kanye on this album seems to have put himself on a pedestal. He's on a path to Jesus. He's always, opened up about his Christianity, even in his music. This isn't the first time he's showed religious themes and attitudes in his own music. We've had it really since the beginning. The difference is this time, though, is that he really is viewing himself as this type of messiah type figure, where he has to pass on the message of God, spread the positivity, show people the right way, which is essentially really some of the lyrics on this album. Like, he is really attempting to convince people that Christianity is the right way. He's not forcing it upon you, but there certainly are some lyrics at times that do really feel like you are being preached at, which is the biggest flaw to the album, because at the end of the day, you don't really hear anything here that you wouldn't hear at a church. Like, what are you getting from Kanye on this album that you haven't heard plenty of times before from Christians since the dawn of Christianity? It honestly comes across sometimes that he's just regurgitating things from a Bible that he just read yesterday. Like, it really feels quite rushed in the sense of the lyrics, because you're not really learning anything about Kanye throughout this album, aside from a few times, which I will bring up, because all he's really doing is just telling you generally that Jesus is great, God is the right way, the path to heaven. I just don't really learn anything from this. And I did just say that there is like the few times where you do feel like you learn something, and it comes on actually the best track, to be honest, Follow God. Follow God, I feel as though, is Kanye coming to terms with accepting that maybe his father was right all along. His father telling him that, you need to be more of a Christian. The actions that you're displaying are not Christian-like. And so, in a sense, he has been shown the way, shown the light, and is now attempting to sort of, I guess, move on from his past decisions, the things that he did before, and become a better person. The track on God sort of shows us that too. He says that the devil had him before, and now he's taken out of that part of his life and again on the right path to following God. Every aspect of his life is in God's control. The times where he almost died, God saved him, things like that he mentions a few times on the song. But then to throw in lines about how since 2005 he's been telling you he's the greatest artist living, again, we're not really getting anything here, and I don't see what purpose that has on this track or even on this album at all. Because it's Kanye West, even since the college dropout days, he's not ever really been the most magnificent amazing poetic lyricist that writes every line with just pure genius that some people act like he is, because he's never been that. And so he has to bring up Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, I think you say. I don't even know. It doesn't even exist in the UK, but like, who cares about what are you doing with this song, Closed on Sunday? What are you doing? You're just telling us about an order you made. Oh man, it's just so bad. Could you imagine like Little Sims or any UK rapper just writing a song about Costa Coffee? Like, they would get laughed off. Like, there would be no excuses made. But with Kanye, I'm already seeing people act like this is a really good song and has a deeper message to it. And so moments like this just ruin the whole point of the album, essentially. I mean, the album isn't that great to begin with, but you can't really take a man seriously when on the track before that he's telling you about like Jesus and the way of the world, how it should be, and then just Kanye, man, you always got to do this. The opening two tracks, however, do lead you astray, I think, because you've got these incredibly like gospel moments, these choirs that really scream out, especially on the first track, but you get it on Cellar too. And then the rest of the album like doesn't really follow through with that, or it's there but it's just nowhere near as strong, and it just kind of makes you feel like a wasted opportunity. I feel like if you just let the gospel choirs do more of the singing and we heard less of Kanye, I think I would have been happier with that. But even the first track has its issues. I mean, that gospel choir is like at the top of the mix. It is in your face. It is shouting at you. They're blaring their voices while this piano line is playing in the background. And it's like literally in the background because you can't even hear it really. And so what makes a great gospel choir so great becomes really annoying because it's so loud and so unnecessary, and then it just cuts off. It's like a minute long, and it just cuts out. Like it didn't even sound finished. I honestly don't know if this was a finished track. The final track as well, the closer, Jesus is Lord, which again is not really anything to be worthwhile because it is just regurgitating things you've already heard throughout religion in your life. Kanye isn't saying anything profound here. And again, it is just about a minute long and seems to just cut off for no reason. Moments like this really get me annoyed because I just know that he's gonna do the thing he's always done in about a month's time and just edit the songs, change them to fit the album and stuff like that. You just know it because these tracks were not properly finished. I mentioned the gospel influence on Sellout as well. Not really a bad song, some corny lines. I mean, the Yandy line I've already mentioned at the start of the review was pretty terrible. But the hallelujahs that come through honestly sound incredibly triumphant, and it just kind of makes up for the annoyance of what they got wrong on the first track, because it's such a powerful moment. I mean, again, more of this on the album might have just made the songs have a stronger presence to them, because when you get to this latter half of the album, some of the songs have like no presence to them at all. It's really depressing how bare and thin Hands On is. The hook of this song is just like this annoying, like drowned in watery auto tune. It's just really, really gross. There's just no beat to the song. Like, Kanye's just rapping over this instrumental that's so bare and thin. It just gets so boring, and it's not even that long of a track too. So it's really depressing to realize how it loses its steam almost immediately. He's talking on here about how Christians will be the first to judge him. I don't know what he means with this track at all. If there was some kind of like weight behind what he was saying, if he just kind of went into more detail, again, maybe we would have learned more about him and what he's currently going through. I just don't know what he means with this. And then we got Use This Gospel, which once again just has no beat or any interesting instrumentation going on. You've got Eclipse feature, which really sounds odd. Pusha T is right. Pusha T on this track, it sounds like he recorded a rap verse and he just rapped in a normal way he always would. but then they just chopped it each bar. Like after every bar, there's like a second pause between his lines. It sounds so weird. Maybe they didn't chop it or edit it in any kind of way, but it just really sounds like they did. Because after every bar, there's just this weird gap between the next one. It's so strange. Honestly, I don't know what they were doing with that. There's these heavenly vocals though that are laced into the instrumental, which actually work quite well. But again, it sounds unpolished and unfinished. Like if they turned that into the beat of the song, incorporated it in a really nice way, I think it would have been so much better. But you know, they just didn't. There's this beat that comes in at the end of the song once Malice finishes his verse, and I can't help but laugh because I think, why didn't you just have that beat while they were there on their features? Like, why was there no beat throughout the entire song? Oh man. Kanye again talks on the song about, following gospel is the road to Jesus, road to heaven, in fact. Look, this is the thing about this album, like, I'm not a particularly religious person. I don't think you should or have to be anything to enjoy music. Do you have to be religious to like a religious album? I don't think so. I think if you were just really annoyed with this album just because it's religious, I think you're kind of imposing your own beliefs because, like, you just don't need to believe the exact same things as an artist to like their music. The issue is though, is that if you're gonna do something like this, I want to learn something. I want to find out more about you as a person. You can't just like regurgitate lines from John 8:36, because what do you learn from that? I could have just read that in a story or in the Bible. It's been less than a week since I reviewed that Nick Cave album, and if you haven't watched that review already, go watch it, because I talk in that review about how Nick incorporates really interesting religious imagery and themes into the music, and you learn something from it because he's learning from it by using his own experiences to link it to religion, and then there's actually a purpose to the entire thing. Whereas all you're getting across the majority of this album is just a random preacher in the streets of England telling you that God is great, and then at the end of it he just hands you out a leaflet so you can come to the Sunday service down the road. This album is the equivalent to that. The track God is just it's just the same thing. It's just a preacher telling you how great God is and what God does, and it's just boring. Paired with Kanye's terrible singing on this song too. Look, I let you all have Ghost Town. I didn't like the vocals on that track at all, but you all tried telling me that they were great. But I'm not letting you have this one. You ain't telling me that Kanye sounds good on this track. What's worse about this entire album is that there are good moments. That's what's frustrating. Like the track Water, the feature on that track I think sounds really good, and then Kanye comes through and ruins it with his whole Jesus is this, Jesus is that, Jesus, 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 Jesus. It's just annoying. It's annoying. This album, you gain nothing from it. It's really not worthwhile at all. And it's not even like got anything to do with Kanye as a person. It's got nothing to do with the fact that now he's doing this religious music. If he wants to do this, I'm all for it. I find religion interesting. I do, but I don't find this interesting. I like my albums polished and finished off, to be honest. This still feels like there are gaps in places where things aren't fully finished. So yeah, another moment in the 2010s where Kanye is just not on the top of his game at all. At this point, it shouldn't even be surprising. But man, I think he's becoming an artist that's getting more further and further away from his peak. I think the fairest I can go is a 4.5 out of 10. Honestly, this was not enjoyable at all. I mean, there were some good moments, as I said, a few good tracks definitely, but even the best tracks generally get bogged down by something that's just not working at all. And you can just essentially sum up the themes of this album in like a sentence. There's nothing to gain. Let me know what you think of this album though, where it ranks in his discography, what you feel about Kanye as an artist at the moment, where he's going from here. Yeah. Ugh. I thank you for watching my review. I do hope you've enjoyed it and do hope you've got something out of it. Again, if you agree or disagree, do let me know. Jesus is King. Have a good day. Goodbye.